This is a reading of Understanding Greek Myths, pages 4 through 9. This first chapter is called What Are Myths? People have always tried to figure out why the world is the way it is. In ancient Greece, people looked for answers as to why the earth had hills and valleys, where different animals came from, and how humans should behave. To explain these things, they told many myths. A myth is a narrative that often includes great heroes, supernatural beings, gods, and goddesses and monsters. At first, these tales were passed down from one generation of people to the next by word of mouth, as stories, songs, and poems. Around 2,800 years ago, the Greek alphabet was invented and the myths were written down. Some of the myths we know today were found in the epic poems, the Iliad and the Odyssey, written by a poet named Homer. Creation and the gods. In Greek myths, forces of nature were seen as gods who had faces and names, but the gods did not live by the same rules as humans. The Greeks prayed to the gods. They built temples and festivals to keep them happy so that they would not get angry and cause disasters. The pictures of the characters in the myths and their deeds were also used to decorate Greek vases, pots, and coins. Many famous mythical heroes and beasts were also carved into beautiful statues that decorated temples and other religious buildings. Walls were coated with plaster and painted to make frescoes, showing the gods and the goddesses at work and play, as well as small tiles of different colors were laid down in patterns to create images on the floor. In our green box here, it says myth, fable, or legend. Myths, legends, and fables are all traditional stories, but each one is a little different. Legends were stories that were supposed to have taken place in history with bits added to make them more interesting. The sinking of the city Atlantis is a well-known ancient Greek legend. Fables are stories told to teach us a lesson or moral. The Boy Who Cried Wolf is a fable by the Greek writer Aesop that teaches us not to exaggerate. On the picture on the right, it says the goddess Thetis gave her son Achilles his armor so that he could avenge the death of his best friend Patroclus. See the Achilles myth on page 21. Below, Nike was the winged goddess of victory and was sometimes associated with Athena, the goddess of war. Many are linked to today. Many companies use names and characters from Greek myths. FTD florists use the image of Hermes, the messenger god, as a symbol of how they can deliver flowers around the world. Sport clothing company Nike is named after the goddess of victory, best known for her speed. Okay, this chapter is called Ancient Greece. More than 2,500 years ago, the people of ancient Greece developed one of the greatest civilizations the world has ever seen. At times, the Greek Empire stretched from Libya in North Africa all the way to India. The main area of land where the Greek civilization and later its empire began is called Attica. It is bordered in the north by mountains and in the east, west, and south by sea. Mountains also run through the middle of the landmass, and many islands dot the sea around it. These mountains and seas made it difficult to travel around Greece. As a result, each region developed its own ideas and customs. Athens became a center of art and literature, while Sparta concentrated more on military training. We're going to come here to the side where it says Zeus. And in ancient Greece, the god Zeus was called the father of gods and men. With his thunderbolt, he ruled over the entire universe. Zeus's parents were Rhea and Kronos. Kronos was told that one of his children would take away his power, so he swallowed each of his children after they were born. This angered Rhea. After she gave birth to Zeus, she wrapped a heavy stone in a blanket and gave that to Kronos to swallow. She hid Zeus on the island of Crete, where he was taken care of by a nymph named Almathea. The nymph hung his cradle from a tree so that he could not be found on earth, in the heavens, or in the sea. When Zeus grew up, he used the potion to make Kronos cough up his brothers and sisters. They defeated Kronos, and Zeus became the ruler of heaven. Now, down here it says part of history. Greeks believed that mythology was part of their history. Knowledge of different gods may have come from other cultures through travelers or merchants coming to trade. Gods and goddesses from different regions soon blended into the main character that we know today. This is a map of Greece. So in the caption, it says above, Greece consists of a rocky landmass and numerous islands. On the left is the picture of the Parthenon temple. It was dedicated to the goddess Athena. It stands at the top of the Acropolis or High City in Athens. Creation and the gods. There are two main types of Greek myths: creation myths and morality myths. Creation myths describe how the world, landscape, plants, animals, and even people came to be. Morality myths explain how people should behave and what could happen to them if they do otherwise. One of the most common themes in Greek myths was the hero's quest. The hero must go on a journey and face terrible dangers along the way. Mythical heroes include Heracles, Perseus, and Jason. Fate played a big part in Greek myths. The characters go through a lot to try to change the outcome of their lives, but fail. The king of Thebes tried to avoid the prophecy that his son, Oedipus, would slay him. In the end, he failed, and Oedipus killed him. The myths taught the Greeks that fate could not be avoided. Lessons on how people should act were also told through myths. Goodness and generosity would be rewarded, but unkindness and greed would be punished. The myth of Bacchus and Philemon told how they were two kind of gods disguised as ordinary people. No one else would help, so the two gods destroyed everyone in the town except the kind old couple. In the picture below, it says Athena, who's on the left, helps Heracles, see page 9, try to steal the sacred altar called the Delphic tripod from Apollo and his sister Artemis, who's on the right. Love and beauty were also found in many myths, but love did not always have a happy ending, and beauty could be taken away by the gods as punishment. But that was the case with Medusa, a beautiful maiden who did something wrong in a temple of Athena. The goddess punished Medusa by turning her hair into snakes and making her face so ugly that anyone who looked at her was immediately turned to stone. Heracles. Heracles, called Hercules by the Romans, was the son of Zeus and Alcmene. He was the greatest hero of Greek myths because his strength, courage, and cleverness. The goddess Hera, who was in love with Zeus, was very jealous of her child Heracles. She sent two snakes to kill him when he was a baby, but the plan failed. The boy was already strong enough to strangle them with his bare hands. Zeus wanted to protect his son. He made a deal with Hera that once Heracles was a man, he would perform 12 labors or tasks. After that, he would become a god. She agreed. She did not believe that anyone could survive the type of deeds Heracles would be sent to do, but Heracles was so powerful that he succeeded. The 12 labors of Heracles included destroying fierce beasts, such as the 9-headed Hydra, human-eating birds, and huge dangerous boars and bulls. On the right, one labor, Heracles killed a bull. Cannibalism in myths. It might seem unusual to us, but many myths include stories of people, mainly children, who were sliced, cooked, and eaten. However, the victims were sometimes coughed up whole or rescued and put back together as good as new.